Worried about letting someone else pick out the perfect avocado for your perfect impress them on the third date guacamole? Well, good thing Instacart shoppers are as picky as you are. They find ripe avocados like it's their guac on the line. They are milk expiration date detectives. They bag eggs like the 12 precious pieces of cargo they are. So let Instacart shoppers overthink your groceries so that you can overthink what you'll wear on that third date. Download the Instacart app today to get free delivery on your first 3 orders, while supplies last. Minimum $10 per order. Additional terms apply.
Achieving a gorgeous grin from home isn't a total mystery with Bite Clear aligners. Just don't be surprised if all of your sleuthing friends start asking, "What's your secret?" Begin by ordering your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95. Bite Clear aligners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces. Plus, they offer flexible financing, accept eligible insurance, and you can pay with your HSA FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte. Hey, Prime members, have you heard? You can listen to your favorite podcasts ad-free. Good news! With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free podcast. That's amazon.com/ad-free podcast to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
There is so much to talk about this week, but
I'm exhaling.
Take a deep one, exhale it, because there are only 3 words right now.
I'm nervous.
Jada Pinkclit Smith. This is where we are at. Listeners, I owe you an apology. I poo-pooed this Hoda Kotb, Jada Pinkclit Smith.
Okay, you're saying Pinkclit? I'm so sorry.
I had no idea.
Jada
That's how I pronounce it.
Pinkclit Smith?
Pinkclit Smith, yes.
Like piglet almost, but Pinkclit.
Is that wrong? I was actually I can't hear that vowel without saying the word clit. I wasn't calling her a pig at all. She is the opposite of a pig. She is a goddess.
Pinkclit. I didn't even get that either.
I poo-pooed Jada Pinkclit Smith last week, and I was like, what could possibly happen in this showdown with Hoda Kotb?
Little did we know.
The bitch
Little
delivers.
Did we know.
I may actually now be her biggest fan because of what she has done with Hoda Kotb here.
And you, of course, that's what you say, because I'm furious with her. Like, I'm like, how dare she do this to us? And you're like, this is basically our dynamic encapsulated. When someone goes absolutely batshit crazy, you're like, I'm obsessed with them, and I'm like, I want them to be held accountable for this.
When a celebrity of her magnitude has
correct.
the nerve, the unmitigated gall, to deliver statements which would assume that everyone listening is a sanitarium-bound idiot, okay?
Dominick, I'm putting my hands in the air because I'm listening to scripture being read to me right now, because that you are in. Yes, continue.
But I'm worshiping it, and you are ready to blacklist her forever.
But I understand exactly what you're saying, because it's like as if we haven't been on this roller coaster with her for years.
It's genius. And I will say, because we are doing an episode about the Pinkclit Smiths in a few weeks. And please come back for it, because it's going to be a real barn burner. I have this one thing to say before, because I know you're chomping at the bit about another topic. I have this to say about her.
We don't need to listen. I have another thing I want to talk about. However, this does need time. Continue.
When she said to Hoda Kotb, former journalist Hoda Kotb, who is now Jada Pinkclit Smith's PR flack, I assume.
No,
this interview, I can't.
For real.
When Jada said that from where she was sitting, she couldn't see Will Smith smack Chris Rock and didn't know that that's what happened, girl, one more time, girl, you're in the front fucking row. How
dare you?
on earth could you not see someone smacking another person 6 feet from you?
It's
Jada,
absolutely insane.
It's so fantastic that she got up there and with a serious face said this, and Hoda Kotb was like, "You couldn't see anything?" I mean, Hoda, ask one follow-up question. Hoda, come on, please.
But this is the thing. This just shows you how devoid of reality these celebrities that get this famous are. Like, that was a moment that shook the foundation of our society. Do you know what I mean? Like, every single person alive that was watching that was thrown and shocked, like running to their phone to be like, did that really happen? Was that a joke? Like, I basically broke my cell phone in half trying to open up Instagram to like find out like what was going on.
Well, thank God we only saw it on television, because apparently if you were 3 feet from the actual
you couldn't see a thing.
You just couldn't see anything. Maybe there were wildfires and the room was full of smoke or the sky was orange. What was it, Jada? Good God, I just couldn't see it. I didn't know what happened until he sat down.
We are the big bad wolf. And like my like fangs, like I have like fangs ready to devour her. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm licking my lips. Like I just picture me as like a cartoon wolf. Like what is like? Think about in Looney Tunes when they see someone and then it turns into like a chicken wing. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
That is what I am to Jada Pinkett Smith. I'm seeing her and she looks like a roast turkey dinner because we are going to devour her.
Oh, 100%.
When we
Christopher, I want to make a statement right here. I'm not speaking for the podcast or for Chris DeRosa, but I am speaking for Dominick Puba, and I bet for millions of other people who watched that interview and thought, wow, this bitch has the nerve. I want Jada Pinkclit Smith to be the Democratic nominee for president of the United States in 2024.
Stop.
That's nerve. That's who you send to the Middle East. That's who you send to the Kremlin. Jada Pinkclit Smith. Period. That's a leader. That's a leader.
You said it best, the unmitigated gall.
Oh, the gall.
And this is over a book. This is for a book. This isn't even like we're in a custody battle or like he's trying to take all of my, you know what I'm saying? There's real reasons to bring these guns out like this. This is to promote her book.
What about the fact that she did a talk show, the Red Table Talk, which should have just been called Jada Talks About Her Life.com. Yeah. She did this show for 19 years.
Yes, truly.
And always said her life was an open book, blah, blah, blah. What? But you had your husband on and talked about your relationship 100 times on that show. And now you're telling us that during all of those dual interviews, the two of you were living separately? Jada, Madam President. What, bitch?
She has one thing, and it's the audacity, to quote another singer. Okay? The audacity.
Ooh. And everyone online is like, oh, the backlash is, it's all racist and a strong whip. Fuck that. Fuck you. Fuck everybody. Make her president. She is unbelievable.
And like unblinkingly just lying right to our faces. It's wild.
I saw the funniest thing I saw on the internet today, because she makes a couple of claims about, she was friends with Tupac Shakur, and she speaks about him a couple of times in her book. And she says at one point that they did make out and realized that they weren't into it. Someone tweeted that every time Jada talks about Tupac Shakur, they are more convinced that he faked his own death to get away from her.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Woo! I can't believe I had the lack of foresight to poo-poo Jada on this podcast last week.
No, but
who knew? How
were we to know? Someone doesn't just drop I don't even know what the like analogy is. Like it is like the second coming of the devil. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like you don't just drop like patient zero into our laps and just not blink and act like I don't even know.
It's such a masterclass that she should be hosting a podcast called Fixing Famous People.
Correct.
This is who celebrities should be giving their money and time to.
And she,
the future president.
I mean, I have so much more to say, but it's like we're going to be fixing Will. We were going to be fixing Will, but that is clearly being transformed into something else.
Now it's Will and Jada. It's an hour. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. Please tune back in for it. There's so much more to say about her, but I know you have another topic that you've been stratosphering about it for a few weeks, and let's get into it. Tell us.
I wanted to bring this up earlier and like, you know, a couple weeks ago, but again, Brittany was dancing with knives. Like there was a lot of things happening. Everyone listening, listen to me right now. Crowd around your phones. Listen, turn your car stereo up as you're driving your kids to school.
If you're on the expressway, pull over. This is gonna change everything.
No, I mean it's not a news flash. Like everyone knows, but when I tell you run, do not walk to the Golden Bachelor, it is the best thing I've seen on TV this year. Period. Done. End of story.
I mean, it is, in a word, for me, refreshing, which is not something you hear to describe the elderly. It was refreshing.
You're right. When I tell, okay, I know you've worked on the show. You might not be able to say whatever. You might have your hands tied. I hate
that NDA must have expired. It's been been a while.
I hate The Bachelor. Like you couldn't pay me enough money to watch it. It's so boring. It's 2 hours long for no reason. They don't say anything. It's a bunch of 20-year-old little fucking whores that like want to be Instagram supermodels, like pretending they want to be with a guy that and then be like, I really love him. And the guy's always a fucking idiot. And you hear how mad I'm getting just thinking about it.
You are boiling over right now.
When I tell you none of that is what this show is, it is people that have lived lives, people that have buried husbands, buried wives, they've gotten divorced, they have adult children that are now having kids. Like these people have something to bring to the table and they're bringing it.
Well, also, who knew that many 100-year-old women didn't mind wearing a sleeveless top? Honestly, I mean, this is like
hot.
It's parade of the elderly tube tops. That's what was coming out of those cars.
I'm obsessed with it. I love it.
Do you have a favorite candidate yet?
They are sun damaged to the hilt. Their chests. I literally grab my chest and like think about like I remember it and I'm like, okay, like when I touch my chest, think about when I'm in the sun. Like, don't do that because the sun damage on these women is palpable.
Yeah, ladies, if you learn one lesson from the Golden Bachelor, SPF 400
everywhere,
right between your tits.
Yeah,
very important, and the area between your neck and your bosom. Please,
but this is the thing.
Please, that's for men too.
But this is the thing. You can tell these women have lived lives. They have been there. They have not put SPF on. They've been in the sun baking at a concert. They've been like out there taking their top off and throwing it at rock stars. Like
we're lucky these women are wearing blouses at all. When they get
exactly.
Out of these
and it's driving me fucking wild. I love it so much. My favorite, obviously, is Susan, the one that looks like Kris Jenner.
You took the words directly
because, like,
out of
I have
my
an
mouth.
affinity. You know, I am Kris Jenner, so like I have an affinity towards anyone that looks like her. But Susan, my segment producer Karen said we watched the first episode together, and she said that Susan looks like someone that you would grab. She would grab your head and then shove it in between her boobs and like motorboat you, like do this. Like
I think she does that in the on the overnights. Actually, they show it. She does that to poor Gary. He dies in the second to last episode. Did you know that he has a heart attack in the fantasy suite? They're not leaking it yet, but I already know this.
How dare you? She is when she pulls him aside in one of the episodes and is like, all the ladies are loving my cooking. She goes, I'm making everyone chicken piccata. And then this one doesn't know. She doesn't want to eat vegetables. This one doesn't eat this. This one doesn't eat that. I'm making meatballs. Everyone's fighting. And then they have speaking of unmitigated gall, they have the absolute shame to play like Italian music while she's speaking. And it's the funniest thing you've ever seen in your life. I'm living for it.
It's great. It's refreshing. It's incredibly entertaining. And I think one of the nicest things about it is that these women, yes, they're here for love, but they are also here to make friends. It's very
the one woman gets eliminated. The one woman gets eliminated, and you hear out of like as one woman just chime in, and she goes, "I'm calling you every day." Like it's so good.
Also, when the older you get, the more you realize how little time we have here. And Gary gets a hand job in episode 4, and they show it. They just pixelate it.
Dominick, he's making out with everyone.
Oh yeah,
he's like, what am I waiting for? Not jack shit.
No.
And I was assuming he was going to be like a sexual deviant, like that he was going to be like, remember like Aviva's dad, like on Real Housewives of New York, or like, you know what I mean? Like I thought he was going to be like an old pervert that was like wanting to like feel them all up, and he's not at all. He's actually like a very nice person and seems to be like a stand-up like gentleman that is in touch with his emotions, which is again something men should be watching and saying this is what manhood is, not being shooting up testosterone. It should be this where you treat women like humans. And he cries every episode. I cry every episode. I'm weeping with the women. I love it. I love it so much.
It's great. It really is great. And they'll do more. I mean, I don't think they'll replace the franchise with this, but they're gonna do this with the same regularity. Why wouldn't they?
I need to see no spoilers. One of them goes home because she has to. She should be the Golden Bachelorette.
Oh, I didn't know that. Someone has to go home.
Someone has to leave for like personal reasons, not because they're not into him. And someone leaves, and like that person should be I'm not going to spoil anything, but she should come next. So, do I need 20-year-old sluts trying to like pretend that they want this guy anymore? No. I need this. I want this. I want 75-year-old sluts actually wanting to be with this man.
I want someone to die in the fantasy suite. That's what's going to happen. What if they're that? You can't be fucking like that. Gary's going to have to do 3 nights in a row with 3 different women. This man's going to die at the end of the season.
You're horrible.
He can't do it.
It's exhilarating. And then you see 1 minute of them just being funny together. And I'm like, the women could then just have a spinoff where they go all across the country and just like go on vacation together. And like, they're doing each other's hair. And the one's like, oh, we're all farting because of the meatballs that you sent. Like, and the one pops up into like a doorway and it's like, it's because of the meatballs. I was dying laughing. Like the women could just have now their own shows, like the Golden Bachelorettes, like take the world, and they could just go. This group of women could just terrorize towns, and it would be the funniest shit we've ever seen in our lives.
The best part, best/worst part of the whole first night of being a producer on that show is just going over the opening lines with the women before they get out of the car. It is like you do it with them for such a long time, you forget that it's 5 seconds of their experience on the show, but it is so important. It's such a marquee moment of the show, and just negotiating with them about what it should be. And, it's like, ladies, you have to do something memorable, or you're going to be one of the people who's just in the montage of openings, because if there's 20 people, you show 10 of them, and then 10 of them are just like, hi, Gary. And you never see them again. Most of those women get eliminated. So you want them to like pop, and some of them just don't want to do it. They're like, I don't want to be embarrassed. Well, you're going to have to be embarrassed in the first 5 seconds if you want to see episode 2. That's sort of the rule when you get out of the car on that show.
And I'm assuming most of them have never been on television before. So they're like rattled with nerves just in general of like, oh my God, I'm going to mess up. What am I going to do? Like, this isn't like the Real Housewives pulling up somewhere and they're going to be like, yeah, I'll fucking say my line. Like, yeah, I know. You know what I mean? It's like,
and on the Golden Bachelor, I mean, most of these women got their entertainment by gathering around the radio with their family. Like these women didn't even grow up with television. It's insane. The amount of, do you know, at the end of episode 1, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start wearing a fucking tube top. If these ladies are going to, on international television, wearing a tube top, I have a very supple, though hairy upper bosom and shoulder area. I think it's so there are no sunspots. I'm gonna do it.
Dominic, if we look anything like some of them when we're that age, I will be so happy.
Well, I do sort of look like the Kris Jenner one currently. We can be real about
Your
that.
haircut is eerily similar to her. But I'm
gonna
Susan
shake my fucking head
Susan's
now.
another level. Susan is another level.
Yeah, Susan has to be the Bachelorette. Like, there's no. I
one
want
would
her
be able
to get
to take
voted
her.
off.
Wait, Dominic, I can't even tell. Okay, I'm gonna spoil something, but it's not a big deal. They do a talent show in the 3rd episode, and I need you to guess what Susan's talent is. You're never gonna guess, but just
It's either. Or I'm going to whittle it down. It's either belly dancing.
okay, very close, but no.
Really? Is it limbo?
She does karate.
What?
They make her. She puts the like, what is it called? A gi, I think, like whatever your robe is.
The
karate.
outfit, yes.
She has that on, and she takes the belt, and instead of having the white belt around her waist, she puts it around her head like.
Oh my God, like the Karate Kid.
Yes.
Oh, Susan.
And then Gary holds a board, and she kicks through it.
Oh my God. Does Gary fall over when it happens? Does she injure him?
Dominic, I was in my spare room screaming at the top of my lungs of laughter, watching it by myself at 6 a.m.
Did Gary does he find that erotic? Like, do you think it pushes her through?
Mean, she's still standing, I'll tell you that much.
All right. And this is next week is the talent show or whatever it is?
It already happened.
Oh, okay. I didn't see this week. So I'll watch it when we're done here.
It's Dominic. I can't. It's the best thing ever. It's the best. I'm loving the show.
It's a hit. I mean, I'm certain they're already working on the next one.
Oh,
it's a big hit.
They already have a Bachelorette ready to go. I'm just saying that.
I do think that it is time for. Are we ready for this week's?
I think so.
It's Brit Watch. Oh, baby.
Brittany Watch. Okay. Shockwaves reverberated through the world.
Always.
Days ago.
Every time she toots, it turns your entire world around.
Michelle Williams.
I can't.
Not from Destiny's Child.
I cannot.
The real Michelle Williams. The actress.
The real Michelle Williams.
Will be the one reading Brittany's book.
Michelle Williams narrating the audio.
I got into it last night with all the cookies in Chelsea Devantez's book club. Some are upset. Some want Brittany to read it. I said, guys, there was no way she was ever reading this book. Because
she doesn't know how to read
That's what some people said. She wasn't reading it. She's going to read the introduction, which I'm happy to have that. We should be grateful that she's giving us that. And not for nothing, I'm into Michelle Williams being Brittany. I'm into it. She needs to redeem herself from what was it called? The Fablemans.
She's being Brittany. Are you saying that, like, will Michelle Williams show up in chapter 1, page 1 and say, "Hey y'all"? Will she be impersonating
People
Brittany?
have DM'd us saying they hope that she does that in the vein of you pretending to be Brittany.
I'm praying.
/Paula Deen.
I'm praying. Also, nothing against Michelle Williams. I could have done this. I mean, I am available for voiceover work. I have done Brittany. I do Brittany every week on this podcast.
Dominic, people have also said, why is Dominic not reading Britney Spears' book? And I said, I'm not sure.
As they should. They should.
I'm going to tell you what, I'm into it. I know some people are shocked. They're upset. The fact that an A-list celebrity is like, I will read your audiobook, that is not something that A-list celebrities do for other A-list celebrities.
Not this A-list. I mean, this is extraordinary. Like, yes. She is a many-time Oscar nominee. She is the mother of Heath Ledger's child. She is Hollywood royalty.
She was on Dawson's Creek.
Okay, well, let's not. There's something in the con column then. I can't with Dawson's Creek. We'll talk about that another time. I don't want to wait.
You were too old for it to be.
How dare you?
You were like an adult when it was coming out, and it was for like little kids. It was for like tweens to be like heartthrobby.
How do you know that I don't resent the show because it spoke to me too much, Chris?
It didn't. I know it did not. So stop.
It didn't.
That.
It
I
didn't.
know you.
I was hoping in the series finale that the entire cast would die, but
Stop. I'm happy.
yeah, it's a marquee moment.
This
I
is a
do
bit-
hope
no,
that Brittany
like-
comes on and say, can Brittany read a paragraph?
No,
or
she's
something?
reading the introduction.
And
Brittany's
that's-
going to read the introduction, that's what Kris Jenner did for her book.
Are you speaking about the real Kris Jenner or Susan from the Golden Bachelor?
The real Kris Jenner. The real Kris Jenner. I'm chomping at the bit to say more about Jada Pinkclit Smith, as you call her, but like we have to stop and we have to get to this week's episode.
We do, because we're not just fixing one person this week, we're fixing a couple, and never before has a couple needed the help of fixing famous people this much.
Okay, let's get into the fix.
Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send instant money transfers, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get your first month free at greenlight.com/Wondery. That's greenlight.com/Wondery.
This is a mini meditation guided by Bombas. Repeat after me. I'm comfy. I'm cozy. I have 0 blisters on my toes. And that's because I wear Bombas, the softest socks, underwear, and t-shirts that give back. One purchased equals one donated. Now go to bombas.com/Wondery and use code WONDERY for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/Wondery and use code WONDERY at checkout.
All right, we have a star. Like, Dominic, we have a star. Sorry to say.
If you've been here before, it doesn't mean you're not a star, but it kind of does. It means you're not a star.
Well, there's many stars in the sky.
There's
Yes,
many stars
there
in the
are.
sky, but this one shines very bright. Her
Aw.
name is Brindle. You know her from Selling the OC. She's unequivocally my favorite character on the show, and she is one of a kind. Polly, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about this. I love you guys. Yeah, I heard your podcast that you did about season 2. Glad that you enjoyed me in it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be someone else here right now.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I always recap Selling the OC with Kate Casey, and we recapped season 1, and I remember being like, I love Polly. Polly's the best, and I followed you, and I got a follow back, and then I was like, I'm obsessed with you. Oh my God. And like messaged you and was like, you're the best part of this show. And Dominic, when I tell you, I feel like you haven't watched, but when I tell you, there's a scene in season 2.
Thanks for throwing me under the bus
where-
right in front of her.
It's
Chris.
okay.
She's right here.
She's fine. She's going to be okay, because when I tell you that there is a scene in season 2 that is what we as producers pray happens, which is she goes absolutely nuclear on everyone, just being like, here's why you're an idiot. Here's why you suck. Here's this. Like, oh, you want to talk about this? Boom, boom, boom. And like one by one just takes everyone down. It
Well,
was
the thing
beautiful.
Is, I was trying season 2. I was really trying to be less reactive, and I
No.
worked with
Polly,
a
no.
handful of knobheads. So I was doing really, really well. And that one particular day, we were getting towards the end of season 2. Everyone was like, I was exhausted. People were just fucking nuts the whole time, and I'd done really well not to lose it, and I just fucking snapped, and I was just like la 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 la, and the one by one they kind of like scurried out of the office and they couldn't deal with it, and I'm like, see, no one can handle it.
No,
And then
Dominic, she
afterwards,
cleared
I
the
was like,
office. Like
It
everyone
seems
had to
incredible.
leave because they couldn't take it. It was amazing.
I do have very thick skin, but also I've got a fucking sense of humor. And it's
Yeah.
like, I understand that putting myself on this platform, and being a main player in this show, which I am, I am
Correct.
going to have, a ton of people who don't agree with what I'm saying, who don't like me, who don't understand what I'm saying, who,
Right.
there's going to be people.
Well, Dominic, that's how when we walk away from every episode of this show, we feel the same way, right? We feel completely validated in what we say and who we destroy and
Yes.
et cetera,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, part of the ease in doing that is smoking so much weed that I don't remember recording the episode. So if someone
it's new to you and you re-listen back.
Whenever someone says they disagree with me, I'd be like, I couldn't have said that. Chris edits the show. Call him. Here's his direct phone number.
All right. Well, enough. We could talk about this all day. But okay, speaking of people being portrayed on reality television, we are here to fix two legends, Spencer Pratt and Heidi Montag.
Known to you gossip hounds as Spidey. A behemoth, a reality.
This is a behemoth.
Right. This is a behemoth because love them, hate them both. They were truly, and we've been using this word a lot on this podcast recently, they were pioneers of a certain kind of reality celebrity. They were really, as far as fact-based reality, as far as situational-based reality shows go, they were the first, dare I say, aggressively shameless people in the genre who owned their part in saying we are doing things deliberately to stay and become more famous. They were the first really national, international stars to sort of take that mantle. So before we begin,
they did it well. They did their job very
Correct.
well, I feel like, back in the day.
They were the template until they weren't. And we'll get to that in a minute, because what we do here first, Polly, is make sure that everyone listening knows the middle names of everyone we're talking about, because it's very crucial information. Any guess on Heidi Montag's middle name?
Okay, Heidi,
I
not
feel
Marie.
like-
It's going to be Polly. What do you think?
Well, I think she's probably around my age, if she's or a little bit younger.
She is. I'll give you that clue. She is 37 years old.
I am 37 too. I actually don't have a middle name, but I feel like a lot of middle names of girls my age, Louise.
Ooh.
No. Chris?
Good guess, though. Heidi, it's not Marie.
It's not. But
Marie is a good one.
Those are actually both pretty good guesses. They don't match what the name is. Heidi Blair.
God
Montag
damn it.
Pratt.
Oh.
And Blair, for
one.
those of us, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure people younger than me know the show Facts of Life, but Blair was the blonde, rich, snobby girl on Facts of Life. And it's unsurprising that would be Heidi's middle name, because she sort of grew up to be a little bit Blairish.
Yeah.
I think that's really good.
Now, Blair. That's a good middle name.
Spencer's 40 years old. What do you think his middle name is? I don't even want you to stress yourselves out about this, because I'm sure you would. It's a very boring name. Spencer's
James.
the more exotic of the names.
James.
Spencer Paul.
William. Spencer William Pratt.
Have we ever been right?
I know.
I don't think so.
I don't think we've ever guessed
I'm really
it.
impressed that you never look beforehand.
I
want a lot of integrity, Chris.
I do.
I would definitely, if we reverse the roles, I would show up here and be like, I don't know. She kind of looks like that bitch from the Facts of Life. So I'm just going to say Blair.
Well, yes, and everyone would know that you would have Googled it beforehand, Dominic.
No, they wouldn't have. They would have thought like based on her physical appearance. What
are your middle names?
My middle name is also Blair. Thank you for asking. No one ever does.
I love that.
Wait, what is your real middle name, Dominic?
Anthony.
Oh, yeah. We're two Italian boys. Dominic, Anthony, and Christopher Michael.
Oh, yes. God,
Yeah.
we got all the saints covered.
I don't know.
Polly, I felt that about you.
We were too poor. We didn't go.
I was. Where do we even begin with Heidi and Spencer? Many people don't know this, but Spencer was on a show called Real Princes of Hollywood.
No.
Oh, he was on a show before Laguna
Yes.
Beach.
It was called Princes of Malibu. It was about Brody Jenner and Brandon Jenner,
Brody.
Linda Thompson, and
Who's
David
that?
Foster.
Was that also an Adam DeVillo show?
No. But on the Wikipedia page, which I'm nervous that this is wrong, but it says that Spencer Pratt is an executive producer of the show, which makes no sense to me because he was like a child.
Yeah, but I don't know who else is listed there. I bet that is actually true.
So it was a reality show on Fox. I listened to a Heather McDonald interview from a long time ago with Spencer Pratt. Kind of got his feet wet in reality doing that. So when The Hills came around, he was like sniffing around to try to like date Heidi to get on the show and like be back on reality TV. It just so happens that they're still together today. But I think the original conceit was he was like, I'm going to go on a date with her so I can like get my way onto this TV show. Because Laguna Beach had happened beforehand. Obviously, Lauren Conrad becomes the humongous star of the show. I was the prime age for Laguna Beach. Like I was 13 years old probably watching it being like, they're so grown up. They're so like, we held on to that show like none other. Like it was our everything. It was our.
Well, that show really was like the first of its kind, and it was global. Let me tell you, I am from the north of England. I didn't leave England until, well, I was moved to Paris when I was 16, but by that point, it was, we knew who they were.
Sure.
You know? It was a global phenomenon, and the first of its kind, you know?
Yeah, correct.
I am still, I can't leave the Wikipedia page for the Princes of Malibu. It's not even like, I don't remember the show at all because that's Caitlyn Jenner's first wife and their kids are Brody and Brandon. And so it's just the two of them. And I guess I didn't realize that Caitlyn's ex-wife then married superstar music producer David Foster. And so it was about the Jenner boys living with their mother and their stepfather, David Foster, and their friend, Spencer Pratt. To quote the Wikipedia page, with their friend Spencer Pratt, the boys got themselves into various hijinks.
Dear God.
Oh, that sounds like a binge watch.
Well, it only lasted 6 episodes.
So really, Caitlyn Jenner and their ex-wife, like that was always obviously their angle.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, Caitlyn's got a lot of nerve talking about Kris Jenner being a mastermind when like the other first wife is doing the same thing with Spencer Pratt.
And that's a very calculated move to then marry Kris Jenner.
But then, but I think the thing is that Caitlyn isn't really in the show though.
No, not at all. But Caitlyn has recently come out like trashing Kris for being the mastermind and blah blah
being
blah. Being
exactly who we know her to be, Kris Jenner.
Right. I guess
like as if it's news. Like we're like, yeah, we all know. Like what are you saying? Like
Caitlyn Jenner has only been married to people who want to launch reality franchises.
So Laguna Beach happens. It's an absolute gangbusters as far as ratings goes. MTV has never been happier. Chris DeRosa has a black and white party in his backyard because they had a black and white party in a hotel room on the first episode of Laguna Beach.
Oh my God. Do you have photos from this party for the Insta page?
I do somewhere. And funny story, I was Liz Gately and Tony DeSanto's executive assistant for like 3 months.
Are you fucking kidding me?
For like 3 months. And it was...
How am I just hearing this now?
I was there when she left their company to go head up Lifetime. And so it was her final day working there. And it was when the news dropped and everyone was celebrating. So we were like drinking in the office. And I finally had the courage to go up to her. And I was like, I just need you to know that like Laguna Beach meant everything to me. And I had a black and white party for my 13th birthday because you guys had a black and white party. And she was like, oh my God.
Call security.
And she was, no. And she was like, do you have photos of them? Like, I want to see the pictures. And I was like aggressively texting my friends from high school being like, find the photos. Like, where are they on someone's like Facebook from 9 million years ago? Like, we have to find them. And eventually we found them and I showed them to her. And she was like dying laughing at how, like, she was like, this is so funny. And I was like, yes, I was like in the middle of Pennsylvania, like nowhere near like a city. And like we were living vicariously through. Like
you have to find those pictures.
As for so many millions of people around the world, you know,
for sure.
It really was like such a phenomenon. Like everyone was obsessed.
Yes.
So of course, when the Hills came along, like everyone wanted to be involved, and Spencer saw his opportunity in the form of Heidi, and good for him. Like he worked that out. super well.
Adam DeVello being the third person in the like trifecta that created Laguna Beach in the Hills. So it is funny that we're talking about Spencer and Heidi because you truly are like living the fruits of their labor.
Yes.
100%.
You're like their step niece. You're their showbiz step niece.
Yeah, no, it's like, you know, Laguna Beach, the Hills, it paved the way for everyone who is in the reality space, you know,
Sure.
and especially that, you know, we have the same guy who created that show than our show. So
Right.
it's kind of, you know, it makes sense that Spidey is the topic of today's conversation, given, you know, my location. I'm in Newport Beach, and, you know, Laguna Beach is, you know, 5 minutes down the road. So yeah, it kind of makes sense that, yeah, we're fixing them today. Or you guys are.
Have you ever met Heidi or Spencer?
I have not. I kind of obviously have known who they are for years and years based on the show. And like everybody kind of loved to laugh at them at their craziness because it was so out there, and 500 surgeries in a day, and the, you know, crazy crystal bullshit, which, don't get me wrong, I love a crystal, but it's kind of, yeah, they apparently want to get back into the limelight. So I'm not sure how they go from where they were at to I don't know.
What do we do? Yeah. So continuing on with the show
journey,
Heidi becomes Elsie's best friend and roommate on the show. The show blows up. Audrina Partridge in a pear tree.
I did an event with her. I met her 3 weeks ago in Scottsdale.
How was she?
Sweet. She's so sweet. She is gorgeous. She's
good.
a lot shyer than I kind of thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were on a panel together, and we sent Adam a little selfie, and he was like, "Oh my God,
that's so funny." I mean, never forget Justin Bobby, ever.
Right.
Like, never forget Justin Bobby. They're on the hills together. Spencer gets in the mix. Elsie's like, I do not like this guy for you. Do not date him. Like, he
from
is
the
bad.
jump, right?
From the
jump.
jump.
She did not like Spencer from the very beginning.
Correct.
Do
not date him.
Happens?
Do not date him. And basically, Spencer put a wedge between Elsie and Heidi. And so the entire, like, most of the show is her conflict between her and her roommate because she doesn't like her roommate's boyfriend.
And he arrived as a villain because he's just sort of has a, you know, it's a borderline likable, unlikable energy. What we normally just say watchable. So he arrived as a villain, but then Heidi turned into a bit of a villain as well, because not just because of her association with him, but Elsie ended her friendship with Heidi because she thought that Heidi had something to do with a sex tape that Elsie was involved with.
Oh my God, I forgot all about this.
Oh, I didn't know about this.
Yep. So it was all part of the villainizing of Heidi.
Wait,
and Spencer,
Heidi had a sex tape on...
No, that Elsie had one. And Elsie ended her friendship with Heidi because she thought that Spencer was responsible for rumors of a sex tape about her and Jason.
Jason, yes,
right,
her boyfriend yes, who every single girl that watched that show had the biggest crush on, even though he was a fucking douchebag.
And very troubled. Like back in the Perez,
he was an alcoholic
days. Yes, like
yes. Remember, she was like, "Please stop drinking," and he was like, "No." Like, it was bad. Like, she was dealing with adult things.
Were they, by the end of the show, were they married? Were they engaged? Were they, where was their relationship at the end?
I think they got married. And I remember towards the end when she was like getting all of her surgeries, they were like babysitting their neighbor's kid for a scene and were like talking about having kids. And then like that was like a big scene for them because he was like, I'm not ready to have kids. And she was like, I want kids really badly.
They were married before the end of The Hills. I mean, it looks like, I think Wikipedia says they eloped in 2008 and then they held a ceremony in California on 2009. But The Hills was around, I think, until 2010. And 2010 was when Heidi filed for separation from Spencer in 2010.
Yeah, because I think that they kind of were on and off and back and forwards
Right. But this is what a douchebag Spencer is. When they were getting a divorce, he started spreading rumors that they had a sex tape. He and Heidi. And he was sort of holding that over her head. And also, we jumped over their biggest claim to fame was that she had like a handful of cosmetic procedures all in the same day.
Dominick,
I think it was in the teens. I
Not
think it was
a handful.
like 13,
No, it was like Guinness Book of World Records, like most surgeries ever. It was not a handful.
Much?
Hold on.
Well, maybe I was talking about Paul Bunyan's hand. You bitch.
Surgeries. Hold on.
Maybe I was talking about B. Arthur's bony, lengthy hand.
At 23 years old, Heidi Montag had 10 surgeries in one day.
Okay. I'm sorry, it's a handful.
No, that's not a handful.
It's 2 scoops then, Chris. Fine.
I can't even think of 10 bits of my body that can get surgery.
Do you have a list, Chris, of the parts that were zhuzhed?
Hold on.
Oh, Botox isn't a surgery. Fuck that.
That's like
she got like her she got like her back scoop.
Breast enlargement, chin reduction, brow lift, nose job, liposuction, buttock augmentation, fat injections, and Botox in one day.
It's a lot. And
was there a body lift in there? That's a big one. That body lift.
It was like a back scooping.
Oh God, don't say that again.
Right? I'm like remembering.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds gross when it happens to someone else, but I could honestly use a back scooping.
Yeah, same.
She was only 23. I'm sorry,
23.
that surgeon is fucked up for doing.
Oh, I don't think I realized that.
She was
23. She was that young.
And
he was a real Svengali, so he was only 26 at the time then, if she was 23.
Yes. And this at the time was like so hotly debated because it was so many, like it was so unsafe for her to get this many things done in one day. And so many people claimed to her, you're doing this because you want it to be a huge spectacle. Like you're doing this because you're doing 10 surgeries in one day. Right. Not because you like want to do 10 things to yourself. You want to make it this huge media thing so that everyone will talk about you.
Well, we did. I mean, we definitely did.
I mean, people are still talking about it today. Yeah. But risking your life for that seems a little bit desperate to me.
She goes back on the show and she's like, Mom, do you like my new body? And she literally can't move her face. And her mom is like, and her mom literally says to her, what did you do to yourself? And she starts crying, but she's like smiling. And there's like just what, like, it's like, you would have it in like an SNL skit now, but like, it was truly like a frozen face, like pulled all the way back. And she's like, like crying, but like can't move her face at all because it's so Botoxed.
I mean, that poor girl though, like,
it's so sad.
Being that, like, that have that little value on yourself and you just want to change everything.
But these are the things that they would do for attention. Like, again, this was the thing. Like, they would do this all for attention. They would do it because they knew that Us Weekly would do a huge spread on her.
And they were right. I mean, that was a huge story that year. So the Hills goes away. They're always threatening that they're going to get divorced. But then the Hills comes back, right? The Hills...
Like for a year, like
Hills Electric Boogaloo or whatever the new one was called.
Yeah, Electric Boogaloo.
In 2019.
It's so stupid.
And they are cast members on it. Yes. And it's on for 2 years. She, at this point, releases a Christian pop single called Glitter and Glory, which sounds like a drag anthem. I've never heard it before.
That. She tried to be a pop star.
A Christian pop star. And then she, in the past few years, they've had 2 children. They're 2 boys, Gunnar and Riker. I'm assuming after the island because I've never heard of the name Riker before.
Which is a jail.
It sounds like something Chuck. It sounds like Chuck Norris's real name. It's probably Riker.
Is that R-Y-K-E-R?
Well, the prison in New York is R-I-K, but Riker Pratt is spelled R-Y-K-E-R.
I wonder what their middle names are.
Yeah, Holly, you don't know this, but when someone says we're going to Rikers, that's not a good thing.
Not at all.
They constantly are trying to be on shows. Like, weren't they on like I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here? And like things like they're constantly trying to jump on to like celebrity versions of whatever to like.
And everyone's always trying to vote them out of the first round every time they appear on something because everyone knows why they're there and they don't want them there.
I am going to say, though, they, obviously sound like they have had this as their, career since they were very young. Like,
Yes.
I don't know if either of them went to university. I'm presuming not. I didn't either, but I lived a full life of careers before I
Sure.
joined this circus. So
Sure.
for them, it's like once it's over, I can understand that. Like, what else can they do?
Well, and that's the other thing
Yeah.
is that you go from being a nobody who's a child basically, and
Yeah.
you're not famous for having a skill, you are simply famous for being yourself. And
Right.
they got so famous so quickly.
Yeah.
Like,
And their fame was not obviously like because they're good people. Like, not a lot of people were
Right.
like, these people are someone that I'd want to
I
go
can't
to
believe she
their.
was 23 during those
23.
surgeries. I don't think I knew she was that
Well,
young, even at the time.
that's the other thing is like if you go back and watch like Laguna Beach now, you're like, like at the time I remember thinking they were like so old and cool. I'm like, they're 15 years old.
No.
Like they're like 17, 16.
God,
so
I
they
guess
can
so.
barely
You know,
drive.
it's like Lauren Conrad. She has a really successful fashion line and a home store and that kind of stuff. Like, these people on the show weren't that cool. So
Right.
it's
No, it was
Right.
what else can they do? They kind of have put themselves in this box. They wouldn't be able to go and work in a corporate situation or
well, and the joke, the rumor back in the day was that like they went to the coolest kids in the school to do the reality show about them, and then the kids said no, and so this was like the second coolest group in the school, and that was maybe Adam
Is
can
that
verify
true?
this for you.
Oh my
Polly,
God,
but
I love
that was like, I
story.
remember that being a big rumor for like all of us when who were watching it, being like, oh, these are like the second rate version of like who like the OC really is.
But do you think that was just like butthurt kids who didn't make the cut?
Sure.
Yeah.
But and
I
also
wonder
I think
if any of that from the first string, I wonder if we know any of those people. I wonder if they went on to do anything of note.
Well, that's
I'm sure they're doing something.
Polly, your co-star Tyler is basically like, I'm surprised he wasn't on Laguna Beach because he like grew up there.
I mean, he's born and raised there.
Yeah, like he would have been
his
one of their
family
friends
in season 2, and it's literally on Laguna Beach. Like he is born and raised, but I think he was too young for that. I think they obviously knew who the Laguna Beach like people, celebrities were, but he was kind of a generation back.
Yeah,
almost, because Tyler's what, 33, 34 now?
He's the same age as me.
Yeah, he's a baby. So I mean, I'm not middle-aged like Jarvis.
No, you're not.
Fuck her. I feel like Spidey kind of went out of the limelight, and they weren't pushing to be in it for a little while. I think they were kind of like happily, having their babies, and then they kind of realized, oh shit, we need to do something now, and our money's run out.
One, I also think, yes, one, that. And two, I think that people always think like, now that I'm so famous from this show, I'm going to be so famous when I leave the show, and I'm going to like springboard into all these things. And like very few reality stars have ever done that successfully.
Right.
Like even the ones that we all know very well and like we always think are like the best that's ever done it. Like very few of them have actually like parlayed that into a real career outside of being on the shows that make them so famous.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
They definitely had like a darker period, but they were still always working basically because they would do anything. Like they did Celebrity Big Brother in the UK, which they were actually runners up. I didn't know that they got that far because I remember them doing it.
But the UK, I have to say, are absolutely obsessed with reality TV.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Like homegrown reality TV, like the Love Island people come out and they are like literally instant from branding deals and all of that kind of stuff, like the Big Brother. But also the UK is hugely obsessed with anything American reality TV, specifically Southern California. Selling Sunset's highest fan base is the UK. UK,
wow.
Ireland, and Australia. So for me, as a like part of the reason why I'm doing this show is that I'm like, I'm the English chick on the show.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
you
that's like,
know?
I was in Ireland. What was it? It's now what? Last year? 2 years? No, last year.
I don't have your travel log with me.
I was
don't know.
in Ireland last year for Real Housewives of New Jersey, and when we would walk down the street, people were like losing their minds.
Oh, Jason,
Being like-
Chrishell, and Mary have
Yeah.
all said to me that when they go to England, they feel like they're in the Beatles.
Yeah,
Like they
like-
can't look down the
Yes.
street. Like it's insane.
Like we went to like a pub, and the people inside the pub were like, Teresa, Melissa,
Yeah.
like they were losing it over
Yeah.
them and being like, I felt it was like, oh, are we at the Grammys? Like what's happening? Like it was,
Oh.
there were fans, mobs of them chasing us through the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even, season 1 came out of Selling the OC, and based on season 1, which, season 1 of a TV show doesn't like you don't get, 15 million, followers overnight, or if that's why you're doing it. But based on that first season, which was really just an introduction of who we are, our vibe, whatever.
Sure.
I've done so much press in the UK of
Yeah.
like Daily Mail stuff and like the Telegraph and like it's a thing.
It
you know?
wields a
I'm just
power.
like-
It really does. It really
I'm
wields a
going
power. And not for nothing, they had like a name like Spidey. Like we called them Spidey. Like they were in the tabloids so often that they got a name that up until I feel like recently was reserved for A-list celebrity couples.
Right.
Like we
Yeah,
call, you know
they
what I mean?
had
Like,
the moniker.
Benifer.
Yeah.
What was the other ones? Like what was it?
Brangelina.
Yeah, Brangelina. Like though that was it. And that was all we had. And then we had Spidey. Like they were that famous at one point. And or at least reported on that heavily that they got that name.
Raid.
Who's that?
Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid
I
from
hate
back
you
in the
so
day.
much.
Yeah.
Wait, what would Helen Hunt and Justin Timberlake say? Jellin. Polly has no idea what we're talking about. Dominic thought for a
Polly,
second that
I
he read on a
recently-
Wikipedia page that
Oh, God, I
Justin
gotta put
Timberlake
my
and Helen
glasses
Hunt
on.
were dating, and we lost our minds, but it was that he bought her house.
Oh.
Oh my God. Okay. Anyway.
This is why I got to put my glasses on now. So here's an interesting fact about Spencer Pratt. Spencer Pratt developed a widespread fan base on Snapchat by posting stories showing his family, daily life, and his passion for hummingbirds. His
Oh, yeah.
popularity led him to being nominated in January 18 for Snapchatter of the Year, eventually winning the category.
Shut up.
He would. So here's the thing. In the
Isn't
later
that
seasons of The
strange?
Hills, he was all about crystals, and he was like trying to rehab his image and be like new age and like not
Right.
like put again like all those people put behind them all the horrible things they've done to people
Right.
and try to
right.
pretend like they're enlightened. And so
Right.
that was like that. There was that meme where he was like holding a crystal like up to his forehead when he was really stressed to like get him to not flip out like he normally would. So then because of this, he would meditate, and then he started meditating and like putting those like that hat with like the little like nectar like flower thing out that is like
Oh,
a hummingbird feeder,
God.
but he had it attached to his hat. So he would sit there for hours still, and then eventually like trained the hummingbirds to all come to him. And so for a long time, he would just post videos of the hummingbirds like coming and like landing on his head.
I mean, that's
I
pretty
love a
impressive.
I love
No,
a
it is.
hummingbird.
No, it really
like
is. Like it, yeah.
There, and they, it's kind of cute, but I think he's got his kids involved as well. I think his
Yes.
kids. That I've seen a video of like his kids feeding them
And like
or
holding it in their hand, which like they never would do that, but because they trust that like Spencer so much that the hummingbirds like come to the children's hands. You know what I mean?
I can't believe that Spencer's only 40 years old. I feel like they've been a part of pop culture
Because
since
they
the
were like
60s.
17 years old when we first saw them. We thought they were like 25,
crazy.
but they were really like 16.
Yeah.
So he was executive producing Princess of Malibu his sophomore year in
I
high
bet you
school.
he-
What is going on?
Someone probably edited that in there.
Al Roker. I have to introduce
Oh
her.
God, Dominic, where are we going with this?
Al Roker, during a Today interview, said that Spidey was, quote, they were the poster children for everything that is wrong with celebrity in this country. How dare you, Al
Wow.
Roker? Who the fuck do you think you? Where is it raining, Al Roker? How dare you? That's all. Should we do
So-
every week? I think we should find out what Al Roker thinks
Roker
about
thought
the
about
people
the
we're
person.
fixing. Get me Roker.
That is
I
really
mean,
funny.
they really were though, like the first kind of stylized villains of a reality show. And
Yeah.
now it seems like every reality show kind of has one or two.
Well, and
you know?
and not even that, like it was definitely like a role, and like New York, like Tiffany Pollard copied them, Omarosa, you know what I mean? Like your early villains all were in that vein of Spencer. They really were. So this is the thing, like not for nothing, they still are reality television royalty, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Despite
Yeah.
their, setbacks or their, they're good. Remember whenever he like wanted to have pinball machines in their house? And she's like, why don't we have a kitchen table? And it's because he had like arcade games in their like kitchen. Do you remember this? That just came to me. But like they really did change the landscape of reality television forever.
Right.
And even today, like my mom, if I would say like Heidi and Spencer to my mother, she'd be like, oh my God, do you remember that? Like we were like hanging on their every word for a while. And another thing I remember when Jersey Shore was exploding and everyone was so obsessed with them, like in the first couple seasons.
Yeah.
And then Snooki was dating, what was his name? Like Gianni?
Yep.
Who now is her husband. They're still married, I'm pretty sure. And they have kids.
Yep.
She was dating him and they broke up in Italy and he left her. I remember every day on Perez Hilton after that, it was like Spencer Pratt's going to produce like the show about Gianni finding love. And that was like all over Perez Hilton every day. And it never happened. But like, it was like Spencer was like, I'm going to now produce television shows because I know how to do them so well. And I remember that like ad for that show that he was going to do was like all over the internet. And like no one ended up picking it up, but it was like I remember him like really trying to be a producer eventually.
So he was always one then. I bet he did produce that. I bet he did. Even if he was young, I bet he produced that show. And that makes actually perfect sense because he was already producing. He was already thinking with that mindset before he met the woman he would eventually marry and asked to physically alter herself for publicity purposes, which is now the anchor of their legacy, really. I mean, they'll always be known for that.
I mean, I wonder what their conversations are like at this point because they've done so many kind of like wild things for screen time and, stories in newspapers and like magazines and stuff. It's kind of like, I wonder what ideas they're throwing around at this point. Like, let's pretend you died, or let's like do
that's in their wheelhouse though. A fake death is absolutely in their wheelhouse.
Yeah, 100%. And then it's like a gotcha, like it's like a April Fool, like on your birthday, Polly, they can do an April Fool's. You know what I mean? Or like the guy that was on The Bachelor that
brought her back to life, and that's then he'll try and sell a crystal book on reincarnating the dead.
And they'll like I don't even remember the guy on The Bachelor that they were like he died and then he was like I'm alive. Remember like a couple weeks ago that one guy from The Bachelor was like like they could do that and they could get on people.com's Instagram, which is what all that me and Dominic look at.
And he did that on purpose, that Bachelor dude, didn't he?
I have
allegedly.
No idea. I don't think so. Who knows?
Just curious.
Well, speaking of ideas that they're kicking around, I think Dominic and I have a few ideas that we
sure
are kicking around, and we're going to present them right now.
I love it, and I can't wait to hear them. May the best man win.
Okay.
Do I get to pick who goes first, or are you?
No, I always go first.
Chris always loves going first.
Spencer and Heidi, you are reality television royalty. You will forever be known in the reality television space. And because of that, we need to finally position you as experts in the field. So what you are going to do is you are going to open up a school for reality television stars.
Wow.
You are going to teach people how to do a walk-up. You are going to teach people how to dress so that their microphone can be hidden. You are going to teach people how to sit in a chair so that they're opened up to camera. You are going to teach people that are either really badly want to go on reality TV or have just been cast on a reality show, how to be on a reality show. And that's not who you're going to be, what your fake personality is, none of that. It is going to be the nuts and bolts of how to be efficient at your job, how to do an interview, how to speak in first person whenever you're talking about something that happened 3 months ago.
This is getting personal. It's getting personal. Go ahead.
How to, when you're talking shit about someone, you've always got to say them by their name, not her or he said.
Yes.
She
Who's
said.
he? Who's she? Yes. All of the things that that us producers like Dominic and I have to teach someone like you, Polly, in season 1 of a show that takes. So
This
no,
isn't
but
Polly's fault.
It's
This
not
is not
Polly's fault,
Polly's
but I'm painting the picture.
No, and this honestly, like we have to, you know, when I'm going off with myself and I'm just like, oh, she said this and blah, 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 it's kind of like you have to say who.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like, oh God.
Or present tense.
And present tense. I am. Like how many times, Dominic, have you interrupted someone about to be? I am. I feel like it is going to be a masterclass in the production skills that you need to have to be a good reality star.
What's it going to be called? Does it have like a Spidey school?
It has to be. It has to be like Spencer and like what I want to call it, which is not what it should be called, is like Spidey and or Spencer and Heidi's School for Dramatic Tricks, which is somewhat of a reference to Jenna Maroney on 30 Rock. But do you remember that one, Dominic?
It sounds a bit Harry Potter as well, like the Spidey
a little bit
of magic.
Well, then you know what? Actually, no, that it's the Spidey School for Dramatic Tricks. That's what it's called. And I think that what it is it really is like you go there and whether it be a week, 3 weeks, 5 months, you are getting a masterclass teaching of how to be on reality television. You're going to be on camera. There's going to be real cameras there. There's going to be real audio people. You are going to see what is set.
Too. That's their own show as well. Okay.
And then they can spin this off into being a show if they really want to. But the real thing of it is like, I'm being positioned as an expert, and then they can get so much press by being like, I am teaching the kids of today how to be on TV. Period. Done. That is my pitch.
Wow.
Okay.
As always, Chris, a very reasoned and reasonable idea. I am
Polly,
here.
buckle up.
Buckle up, Polly, because nothing I do on this podcast is reasonable at all.
Well, it sounds like me in my life, so let's go.
Pop culture is a wasteland. We all know this. And if there is royalty on one of the landfills of reality television, Spidey is up there. I don't even think Spidey would deny that. Like there are trashier elements of the genre that were pioneered by and wouldn't be exceeded by anyone because of Spidey. Because we've seen the eventual erosion of pop, like when I was a kid, if a movie star appeared on a television show, that was a scandal. That meant their movie career was over. It meant they took a step down, blah, blah, blah. Now, there's no line anywhere. Meryl Streep has more Emmys than Oscars. Nicole Kidman routinely flies up on any number of streamers, sometimes with such ridiculous co-stars as Bobby Cannavale. You know what I'm saying about this? So we have all of this. We're already mildly, not dumbed down, but we're all in just one big pool. And I'm a big fan of when people are troubling, they should just lean right into that because
lean into the crash.
Because there are certain people that aren't going to correct it. And I don't think Spidey is. I don't think Spidey's ever going to correct their public image. So let's just go for it. Spencer Pratt, Heidi Montag, hosting the 2024 Academy Awards. That is their next move. There is no other move. There is no other move. Go to the top while the Academy Awards still matter, because we are 3 years away
from them not mattering.
From them just not even airing on broadcast television. Like no one's going to care anymore. No one. But you know what? I'll watch. How do you get people who would never watch the Academy Awards to watch it? Fucking put Spidey as the host.
Dominic, we fixed one of our first episodes was fixing the Oscars. Dominic, if only that was our pitches. Truly every single person I know would be tuning in to watch Spidey host the Oscars.
Right before they announce Best Picture, Will Smith comes out and smacks both of them on live television. On
Heidi
behalf
doesn't
of-
even feel
on
it.
behalf
She's
of-
like,
On behalf of anyone who's ever watched The Hills, Laguna Beach, or anything
Right.
they've been on,
that's terrible.
I mean, that would get the Oscars a lot of that everyone would be talking about it.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm not sure a lot of people would watch it until the end, though.
For the smack. No, they'd watch from the beginning. They'll
no.
watch right from the beginning. for
Every
sure.
person would be lining up to see the train wreck that would be them hosting and like I need to see Nicole Kidman be like, who is this? Like looking around, like watching the A-list actors like looking around, being like, we don't know who this person is hilarious to us.
I want them to destroy the Academy Awards. I want Whitney Port to give out the Oscar for Best Cinematography. Why not? I want Audrina to give out Best Documentary Short. Like, just make it weird.
Oh my god.
I'll watch that whole show.
Like imagine like Nicole Kidman, like our queen, like like coming up on the stage, and like what is the exchange between Heidi Montag and Nicole Kidman as she hands an award to Nicole Kidman for whatever fucking ridiculous train wreck role that Nicole Kidman played that year. Kate Blanchett and Spencer Pratt standing now. I'm pitching your idea now.
And each time they come out in like ridiculously over the top outfits.
Oh yeah, I
like,
want her. She should be fully nude before Best Picture comes out.
No, at the end, yeah, fully nude, but just with bandages over her face, like more surgery,
or
like just wearing a humongous hat. Do you know what I mean?
Like
and that's it. And that's
like
it.
a hummingbird hat. That's it.
Mm-hmm. And that's it.
Well, I mean,
Holly, these are your pitches.
Okay, both honestly very strong, and I feel like they both could actually work with each other. So I feel like the Oscars would be huge, and then after that, they could open up the Spidey School of reality magic or whatever from the back of that, because this would reinvent them to such a level that they would be able to do the school and send both of their children.
We normally push for you to choose one, but the way you've explained it actually makes sense to me, because after hosting the Academy Awards is when someone should say, I'm going to open up a school and teach people.
Well, that's it. I was kind of like, okay, the school makes sense, because I mean, I actually doubt the school would be successful in them actually training people, because I think good reality TV, cast members aren't thinking about what they're doing.
Correct.
That's why the producers enjoy when I'm there, because I don't think what I'm doing. I don't notice the cameras, and it's their job to capture.
Sure.
As Dominic and I say all the time, like, we pray that you just forget that the cameras are there and just are generally organically yourself. Like,
I instantly forget, and I feel like the people who kind of can't do it in our office and who don't get any screen time because they can't be themselves. It's so weird. Like, they are sat there and they can't even speak. They can't form a normal sentence, and it's like, what's wrong with you? Like, la la la, because there's too in their head about,
like, what am I going to look like? Yes.
I don't have that problem. I am exactly the same off camera, on camera. I forget that they're there,
And that's why you're my favorite to watch, Polly.
But I do think that, the school won't be successable, but they're going to get
but we should still open
most amount of students. They're going to get that, because they're going to charge a premium for this.
Oh, they don't have to listen. It doesn't have to be successful. It just has to be monetarily successful.
Yeah, it's gonna work for them for probably 2 or 3 years, and then everyone's gonna be like, "This is horseshit. No one's ever gone on to do anything." So, but they can ride on the back of the Oscars buzz.
Sure. Well, and now that the Academy, like the Oscars museum is opened, instead of doing like the ads for the Oscars museum at the Academy Awards every year, they can just do the same ad, but it's like for the School of Dramatic Tricks that's like some warehouse that they're renovating. Like, again, like Nicole Kidman can walk through like this warehouse and be like, this is going to be, you know what I'm talking about, Dominic?
Machine room. Yeah.
Oh God.
So are we calling this one a tie?
Usually we don't let ties happen, but I'm okay with a tie this time, I think. If you are, Dominic.
I am
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, they're both very, very well done, and they're both polar opposites, so that they actually would work together for Spidey to get the maximum amount of money and the maximum amount of exposure. Like, I feel like,
well, the way you've explained it is really what sold it. And also, anytime someone explains anything with a British accent, it feels like it's
as
being
Americans
read from the Bible or Shakespeare. So you sell properties, you have sold these ideas as a package. This is literally what you do for
I know,
a
I
living.
did.
You've sold
That's why
us.
I'm good at my job.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
sold you back your idea wrapped up with a nice little bow.
You brought
and
us
you're both
together.
happy with the
This
results.
is normally a fiercely competitive moment, and here we are hugging it out because
Everyone's a winner, baby.
Yeah.
all I know is
I,
that Spencer Pratt is shaking right now because Polly just produced 2 producers.
well, she's automatic, and which means she's automatically going to get a producer credit on
this episode.
And the Academy Awards, probably.
Yes,
Like,
yeah. That's
we're
it.
all. Can you imagine
Especially
seeing that? That's the first name that pops up during the credits. Executive producer of the Academy Awards, Spencer Pratt. I mean, would you just shit your pants?
I would
to see
die.
that?
Dominic, we would fall down together and just never get back up.
I want Heidi to dress as an Oscar the entire time and just be uncomfortable for all 7 hours of the broadcast and like shuffling around the stage as an ongoing joke that she can't.
They have to put her on like a mag liner and like pull
right,
her around.
like when Donna Martin dressed as a mermaid on 90210's Halloween. I just want to see
And they
Heidi
should
Montag
present an
shuffle.
Oscar for best reality star, and then open the thing, and it's themselves.
That's
And that's the
great.
end. That's the final. That's after best actor, best picture. It's like we've got one more, like
Right.
the biggest
I
award. of the night.
love that. I love that.
That's
This is
amazing.
going to happen. This is going to
I
happen.
need very quickly. Speaking of people being good at their jobs, I need to tell a story. And I know if you've listened to Kate Casey, you've heard it. Kate Casey called me right before, I think days before season 2 of Selling the OC premiered. She calls me. She goes, driving down the street. I look over. There's someone nailing a sign into a front yard for an open house. I look again. It's Polly, and she's like, I roll down the window, and she's like, Polly, and Polly's like, oh hi. And she says, so if anyone thinks that Polly doesn't actually sell real estate, I watched her like putting signs in front yards for open houses.
I am working my ass off. And yeah, season 3 we wrapped a couple of weeks ago, and my career definitely you see it evolve in season 3 as along with other dynamics of interpersonal relationships and friendships and that kind of stuff. Season 3, so stay tuned. I don't know when that's going to be released. They don't tell me shit because I'm like the Tom Holland.
Don't worry, they don't tell us either.
So yeah, I kind of think the beginning of next year, but yeah, I do really sell houses.
That's awesome.
Polly, thank you
guys
so
wanna
much
buy
for
one?
being here.
I mean, if I thought I could afford any of the houses you sell, maybe I would say something.
This is a common misconception though. People are like, oh wait, my house isn't fancy enough for you. I will sell a piece of shit. I will sell a piece of shit really well. Like, I'm like, wait, like, no, if you've got a piece of shit, I can sell it. I can sell anything, and I will sell anything. It's my job.
You sold our pitches today, and you
sure did. She's a seller, ladies and gentlemen. She's a seller.
Yeah, I sold them back to you, and you both bought.
We bought it.
We bought it. Polly, thank you so much for being here.
Of course. I love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You can see the show on Netflix. It is Selling the OC. Where can people find you online?
People can find me on Instagram, Polly Brindle. And yeah, that's about it. Or on Netflix.
Dominic, where can people find you?
You can find me at my website, which is domentary.com. And on social, you can find me at Dominick Pupa.
You guys can
find me. Can you believe it? I want you to leave this pause in because I do it every single time. I'm so obsessed with saying my own fucking name that I forget the most important question of the entire hour, which is Chris DeRosa. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me at the Chris DeRosa. You can find the show at Fixing Famous People. Leave a review and let us know who you want us to fix next. I wish you both well. And as always, where's Shelly? Goodbye.